Okay, so we're looking at section 3.5, which is step form and point slope form. You get this to move for me. Okay, intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You should be pretty familiar with this. It's one that we use quite a bit. M here is our slope, and b is our y-intercept. Our y-intercepts are always ordered pairs, so we write it 0b, not just b, that b value is. Okay, so if I want to find the slope and the y-intercept of the line whose equation is 5x plus y equals 2. Well, if I get this slope-intercept, which is to look just like, then I can find my slope and my y-intercept. But it has to be intercept form, so I have to solve for y. So if I take 5x plus y equal 2, and I subtract the other side, okay, so that y equals, now I'm going to rearrange this so that it's in the proper 5x positive, okay? So now y equals mx plus b. So here's my m, and this is my b. So my slope here is just -5. Make sure the negative with it. And then my y-intercept is not just, but 0, 2, right? Because y-intercepts always have an x value of 0, so 2 is my y-intercept. Okay, so same thing for this next one. Find the slope of the y-intercept line whose equation is 3x minus 4y equals 4. Get it into slope-intercept form, and then find your slope and your y-intercept. So 3x 4y equals 4. Okay, so I need to subtract the 3x over. So we get -4y is equal to -3x plus 4. Again, I just rearranged it so that I have my x first and y second, or my constant second, sorry. So I have to have y by itself. That means I'm going to have to divide by -4. For each, divide everything -4. Typically, you can divide the entire right side 4, but I'm going to split it into the separate fractions so that I can reduce them. Okay, so over here we get y equals -3, -4 just becomes positive fourths, and 4 over -4 is -1. Okay, this is my intercept form. Okay, this gives me my slope, this gives me my y-intercept. So same thing, slope is going to be 3/4. Remember, m is, and then my y-intercept is 0, -1. Negative does go with it, so 0, -1 is my y-intercept. Okay, so now for example, determine graph of y equals -1/5 x plus 1 and 2x plus 10y equals 30 are parallel. Okay, remember parallel means that they have to have the same slope. So I need to know what the slope of both of these lines is. Here it's already in slope-intercept form, so this right here is my slope. Okay. On this, we don't know much just yet, so we need to put it in slope form so that we can find the slope. So here's that. Subtract the 2x to the other side. Exact thing we did on the first two. We're just trying to solve for y. Okay, divide by 10. East, and we get y is equal to 1/5. Okay, I just reduced 10 over 2 becomes 1 over 5, and 3 over 10 is positive. Okay, so this one is also -1/5. Okay, always the number in front of x, right? So it's 1/5 is my here also. So since my slopes are exactly the same, it is parallel. Make sure you answer the question they asked. They asked if it was parallel, so make sure you write that it is parallel. All right, now find the line with y-intercept 0, -3, and slope of. Okay, so if they give intercept, then I can use intercept form to write an equation. Okay, because this is going to be, and this is going to be my m. We know that y is equal to mx plus b. Plug those in. Remember, you're only plugging in for the m and b, because for an equation, you want a y and an x left. So is equal to my 1/4, and my b value is negative. So 1/4 x minus 3. So you leave your y and your x in there. You're only plugging in the m, and that's all you really have to do. So that's anytime they slope and intercept, you can use that formula. If it's not a y-intercept and they give you a slope and a point, in just a second. Okay, so now the slope-intercept form is to graph-intercept form. If it's already in slope-intercept form, well then you know your y-intercept, 0, -, and I know my slope is 3/5, right? That's just pulling that straight from my m here. So you graph your y-intercept first, plot your point, so 0, -2, graph the y-intercept, and if you need to write that down, go for it, graph y-intercept first. Okay, and then from your y-intercept, your slope to count up 3, because that's my rise, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, up over 5. And that is my line. Now, remember that 2 also makes up, so I could also go down 3 which would be negative, and left 5, and that would also be negative. So that 2 negatives makes a positive, and if you look, when I do that, I get a pretty little line that's an increase. All lines up very nicely. So arrows on both ends, that would be the graph equals 3/5 x minus 2. But again, remember on your test that you have to follow instructions. If it says the graph using the coordinate points, you have to make a table. Graph using intercepts, you have to find the 2 intercepts by plugging in 0. If using slope-intercept form, then you would graph intercept and use your slope to count up and over. So make sure you're following your instructions. Okay, this very last one would be this. We have to put it in slope-intercept form first, which means this 4x needs to move over. So we subtract from both. So I've got y is equal to negative 4x positive 1. So y-intercept happens at 0, 1. And the slope here is negative 4. So you plot your 0, 1. Okay, your y-intercept is always on this vertical line. Please remember that, because if you start off on the wrong line, then everything else is going to be wrong. So on the correct intercept is always vertical line. And then my slope is negative 4. 4 means down 4. Okay, and then the bottom number we just is 1. Right, so negative 4 divided by 1 is still negative 4. So it's negative 4 over positive 1. I could go positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. Okay, positive 4 over a negative 1 is also negative, this negative decreasing graph. So either one of those would, and then you draw your line with your arrows on sides. Okay, and that would be your graph. I didn't do a good job at my hair, but it works. Okay, so that's slope-intercept form. So now the very last part of this, you need point-slope form. Okay, point-slope we don't really graphing very often. Usually if we want to graph, we're going for intercept form. Okay, but point-slope form is fantastic for writing equations. They give me a point and slope, I can use point-slope form. Okay, so y minus is equal to m times x minus x1. So the x1, y1, that you have. x1, y1, and m, of course, is still my slope. Okay, so remember, slope-intercept, if I have a slope and an intercept, I use the y equals mx plus b. For point-slope form, if point and a slope, I use point-slope form. So find an equation of a line passing through negative 1, 5 with slope negative 2, and put it in slope-intercept form. Be very careful about what form they put it in. Okay, slope-intercept number is y equals mx plus b. Okay, but I can't start with that form because I have a slope and an intercept. I have it and a slope. So I'm going to use point slope first. So this will be my 1, y1. Okay, and I'll plug into my point slope form. So y minus y1 is 5. Slope is negative 2. X minus negative 1, so that becomes plus 1. Minus a negative 1, because minus comes from the up here, and then a negative 1 is plus. Okay, but they want this in slope-intercept, which means I need to solve for y. To do that, I need to distribute first 2x minus 2, and then add the 5 over. Y is equal to negative 2x plus 3. So now, this is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that goes negative 1, 5 with a slope of negative 2. Okay, so find the equation of through 2, 5, and negative 3, 4. Write the equation in that form. Okay, so an intercept, so I can't use this. I do have 2 points, okay, but I don't have a slope. So I have to have a slope and a point in order to use point-slope form. So just find a slope. Okay, and we did this the other day in 3.4. Using the slope formula, 2 y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you forgot how to do that, you can go back to 3.4 and watch that video to see how to find the slope. Okay, but it's really pretty straightforward. You just identify which one's going to be which one's going to be. Doesn't matter which one you choose, and then you plug it into your formula. 4 minus 5 over negative 3 minus 2 gives me negative 1 over negative 5, which a negative over a negative makes positive 1/5. Okay, so I've got a slope of 1, and now I've got 2 to choose from, and it doesn't matter which, they're both points on the exact same line. So just pick a point to use. I'm going to use the one that I already labeled x1, y1, and then we're going to go back to the original here, the point-slope formula, because now I've got a point and a slope. Point-slope form. Okay, so here we go. Y minus 1 is 5, is with x minus my x1 is 2. Okay, but they want my answer in slope-intercept form. Make sure you write your slope-intercept form. This is 1 mx plus b. So, slope-intercept form, I'm going to distribute here 1/5 x minus 2/5. Okay, and then we're going to add our 5 over. To add fractions, we need a combinator. Sorry, the light went out. Okay, to add fractions, we need a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply this one by 5, top and bottom. Okay, so that gives me y equal to, okay, it goes away. We've got 1/5 x, and then negative fifths plus 25/5, right, common denominator. So now I've got 25/5. I can add those together. Y is equal to 1/5 x plus 3/5. Okay, and there is the equation line going through both of those points in y-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, sorry. Okay, so now, vertical lines. Okay, find the equation of a vertical line through negative 1, 5. So let's start by graphing this. So negative 1, 5 is over here. 5. They want a vertical line through it. Okay, if you remember when we did 3.4, the vertical line has an undefined, so I can't slope form because I can't use an undefined slope in there. Okay, so I just kind of have to know these things. For vertical lines, they always start with x equals some number. Okay, and the reason x is because A is intercepts, and B, the only thing that's not changing throughout this thing. Y can be any number that you want to choose, right? Because Y is changing. Y is -1, -5, 4. Okay, this is +5, +10. Y can be anything I want. But what stays consistent is that x is all -1 in every single one of these points. That's how you, the equation for a vertical line. X equals, well, what does x equal? X equals -1 all the time, okay? This is -1, 1. This is -1, 5, -1, 9. This is -1, -6. Okay, no matter which point I choose, x is -1. So that's how you write the equation for a vertical line given point. Okay, now x equals a number, vertical and horizontal, we've got y equals some number. Okay, so same sort of idea. When I come up here, -1, 5, they want a horizontal line through that point. Okay, so horizontal is perfectly flat, like horizon, right? That's why we call it horizontal and horizon. They're both based off of the same word. Okay, so there's my horizontal line, and it goes through the 1, 5. So the end of this line, just like this one, is going to be y equals, because y is a constant value. Okay, x is changing all the time, but y is +5 throughout that equation. So y is always 5, no matter what x value you choose. Okay, so the equation for horizontal off y equals, and then you just what y you're trying to draw. Alright, so now, very last unit, okay, find the equation of a line parallel to the line 5 passing through -2, -3. Okay, so first be parallel to this line, so that means they have to have the same slope. So if a horizontal, because it's y equals, right, y equals 5 is up here. Here's y equals 5. Okay, I know it has to be horizontal. I can't draw it because then y isn't just 5. This way, y is 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. Okay, so it has to be horizontal because this is the only way that I can have y 5 all the time. Okay, so here's my first line. Now, this isn't what they want, though. They want an equation of line parallel to that line. Okay, parallel means they run at the exact same slope, so whatever it is, it's a horizontal line. And it goes -2, 3. So -2, -3. So they want it to go through that. Well, parallel has to be another horizontal line, right? Parallel has to run at the exact same slope. That's what parallel lines mean. Okay, so here's the second equation. Now they want me to, or the second graph, they want me to write an equation for this. If y equals 5, okay, well, horizontal line again, so this is y equals, and what does y equal? -3. Okay, y is 1, 2, 3. Y equals -3. So that's how you write the equation of a line that's parallel to y equals -2, -3. Okay, so y equals -3. Alright, so now, a line perpendicular to -2 passing through 1, 4. So same sort of idea. Here we go. X equals -2. That is a vertical line at -2. Okay, that's the only way to draw a line where x is always the thing, -2. Okay, so there's x is equal to -2. Perpendicular is going to make a perfect 90. Okay, so if I want to go through the point 1,4, which is right here, perpendicular to that line, I have to go horizontally. We want to make a perfect 90 angle. Okay, so here's my horizontal line. I'm trying to make them dark enough so you can see them on the video. Okay, so there's my horizontal. So this is x equals -2. This is right the equation for. This is perpendicular x equals -2 to point 1. There's my 1,4. We went right. Okay, so the line for this horizontal, so I know it starts with y equals. Okay, horizontal lines automatically start with y equals, and what does y equal? Equals 4. So now find the perpendicular and y equals 5, 6, x, or passing through 5, 1. Okay, so there's you're going to be perpendicular to this thing, passing through 5, 1. Okay, so the point I'm going to use, which means I just need a slope. You have to have a slope. So I have my point, I need my slope. So this is the equation perpendicular to. Remember, perpendicular means opposite reciprocal. So if slope here is 5, then the slope of perpendicular, remember that's what this little symbol means, okay, that upside down T, this perpendicular is opposite, it becomes negative. This is positive and opposite becomes negative. Reciprocal means we flip. 5, 6 becomes 6/5. Okay, so the slope that I'm going to use is -6/5 because that would be perpendicular to this and going through this point. So now I need to actually write an equation though. So I've got my slope, I've got my point. Use your point slope form if I don't break my pencil. Y minus, here's my x1, y1. Okay, minus y1 is 1. It's equal to the slope x minus x1. Okay, formulas are given to you, but do keep parentheses have to be there because we're going to do. Okay, so now this is slope. I didn't say this one. Okay, so it's kind of, if it doesn't, have to put it in slope intercept form, but typically that's what they ask for, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Okay, so I'm going to distribute here. So we get 6/5. Negative times -5 becomes positive 30 over 5. Remember, whole numbers over 1. 6 times 5 is 30, and 5 times 1 is 5. And then reduce y minus 1 is -6/5 x plus 6. Right? 30 divided by 5 is 6. And then add your 1 over. So final answer, -6/5 x plus 7. Okay, -6/5 plus 7. I have a hard time saying that. 6/5 x plus. Okay, so that's the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this line, and you can tell that. Slope of 5, 6, 5 slope of -5, and it goes through 0.51. Okay, now find the line parallel to the line for x plus y equals passing through -3. Okay, so minus 4x. Okay, I'm putting this into slope-intercept form so that I know this equation of this, because I can't figure out parallel until I know the slope of the original line. Okay, so y to -4x plus 6, slope-intercept. So the slope here is -4, which means the slope of the parallel, that's what that means, parallel, is also -4. Remember, the slope of parallel have to be the same. So if this one's -4, this parallel line will be -4. I've got my point, x1, 1. Now we plug it into point slope form. Y minus is equal to -4 times x minus -2 plus 2. Minus -2 plus 2. So now just that, 4x, 8, 3, is equal to -4x minus 5. That's a y. Y is equal to -4 minus 5. Again, the same slope, that makes them parallel. They just go through the intercept, okay? If they were the same intercept, then they would be the exact same line. Alright, so that's the end of Unit 3. Make sure you go back and you learn, know what to do for each different type of graphing, okay? Graphing using orders, graphing using intercepts, graphing using slope-intercept form, and then equations using this point slope form. Good luck.